My name is Elliot Harper. I am 42 years old and I live in Austin, Texas. I have always believed that success comes from hard work, smart decisions, and integrity. I built my career by turning failing companies around, making tough decisions, and genuinely giving credit where it's due. But there's one story from long ago that still sticks with me because it's a reminder that sometimes people get away with theft of credit for far too long, and karma can be a slow mover but an unforgiving one. About 10 years ago, I was brought in to revive a small manufacturing company that was almost dead. They had only 3 employees left when I showed up after a previous failed attempt at restructuring. The company specialized in very custom, small batch parts that needed precision, the kind of work that required skill, patience, and meticulous attention to detail. My goal was clear: rebuild the company from the ground up, boost revenue, and make sure it was sustainable. I fired those who weren't up to the task, cut out unnecessary steps, invested in better technology, and led a thorough overhaul. Over 2 years, the company grew from a struggling, near-defunct operation into a profitable business making $10 million a year, with a plan to hit $100,000 profit per employee. We succeeded, and for years, everything was going smoothly. There was a guy named Bob who was okay at best. Not great, but he had a few skills, so I kept him around, thinking maybe he'd improve or find a role that suited him better. I warned Bob he had 2 months to find another job because I needed to try to get the company to its new goals. I told him I'd give him a fair review based on what he was good at, but that, frankly, his weaknesses could cost him. I told him he needed to perform at a high level in his good areas or he would have to go. To his credit, Bob kept his effort consistent, but it was never stellar. He was just enough to keep his job, which was fine for what I needed at the time. Eventually, Bob left and found a new job with a company we partnered with. He didn't use me as a reference, but that was fine. I was happy for him. Years went by, and I moved on to new projects and new companies. I traveled a lot, visited clients, and tried to stay focused on building good things. The company I left behind kept going, facing some challenges but holding steady thanks to the people I left in charge, especially the new general manager I hired. Then one day, I receive a call from that general manager. He told me that Bob had lost his job, which surprised me because he had been there for years and seemed stable enough. Not long after, I heard that Bob had applied for a highly coveted role at my previous company, the one I had rebuilt and moved on from. I was a little surprised, but in a way, I was also curious. My old company's general manager, who now was interviewing the new candidate, called me to ask about Bob. He told me Bob claimed he had done many of the transformative things I had actually led, things that, in reality, I had built from scratch. Bob was taking credit for work I fought hard for, work I had poured years into, and work I knew I was responsible for. The general manager, who did not work directly with Bob, was close to hiring him based on what Bob said. I told him the truth about Bob's actual performance, what he had contributed, basically, hardly anything that made a difference in the company's success. I told him that Bob was good at saying the right things but lacked the substance, and I warned that hiring him would just be repeating the same mistake of giving credit to the wrong person. A few days later, I got a message from the HR department saying Bob did not get the role. I smiled to myself knowing that karma, or what some call justice, has a funny way of catching up with people. It might take a decade, but eventually the truth comes out. Sometimes, the people who steal the credit do get exposed, even if it's not immediately, and their dishonesty catches up with them. I don't believe in instant payback, but I do believe that the universe balances the scales, even if it takes a long while. Looking back now, I feel no bitterness. I am proud that I built something real, something that endured. That day, I realized that integrity matters more than recognition, and that no matter how much someone tries to ride coattails, their lies are always vulnerable. I suppose I learned a lesson that's timeless. What you build and how you build it is what truly matters. Sometimes, the ones who try to take credit for someone else's work eventually find that the truth will never stay hidden forever. Karma might be slow, but in the end, it's very precise. And in this case, it was sweet.